Why would a young black cook be cutting meat alone in a dark kitchen at 3 a.m.? And why did she look over her shoulder like someone was hunting her? And why were there silent tears falling on the cutting board, as if the knife in her hand was the only thing keeping her alive tonight? Chef Daniel Ross wanted answers, which was why he entered his own restaurant in disguise, wearing an old hoodie and glasses so no one could recognize him, and the moment he stepped inside, he saw Maya Brooks slicing meat with trembling hands under a single flickering light. The kitchen was cold, the streets outside silent, and yet she worked like she had no right to stop, even for a breath. Daniel watched her quietly and noticed details the staff never reported, like how Maya always took the worst tasks, never complained, never asked for breaks, and carried a sadness too heavy for a teenager. He moved closer, pretending to be a new night helper, and Maya instantly stepped back, clutching the knife, as if she expected danger, not company. Her eyes were red, her apron stained, her voice shaking, when she whispered that she was fine, even though nothing about her looked fine tonight. Daniel asked why she worked so late when she was only supposed to close the station and go home, but she froze, her throat tight, like she could not say the truth, because saying it might break her. At the same moment, two night staff members walked in, talking loudly about how Maya did not deserve to be in the kitchen because she had no culinary degree, and how the restaurant should not waste good ingredients on someone who probably grew up eating scraps. Their words sliced deeper than any knife, and Maya's shoulders dropped, as if insults were normal for her and silence was her only shield. Daniel felt anger burn in his chest, but he kept his identity hidden because he needed to know the whole truth before he stepped in. When the staff left, Maya whispered an apology for standing in the way, even though she had done nothing wrong, and Daniel realized this girl lived in fear of disappointing people who never gave her a chance to shine. As she reached for another piece of meat, her hand shook again, and he gently asked if she was okay, but her answer was a quiet, broken no, spoken so soft it hurt to hear. Before he could ask anything else, Maya's phone lit up with a missed call from someone listed as little brother, and the moment she saw it, her face crumbled like she was carrying responsibilities far bigger than her age. Daniel watched her wipe her tears quickly and return to work like survival depended on every slice she made, and he knew this night would reveal something darker than exhaustion. If you want to know why Maya worked in pain at 3 a.m. and why Chef Daniel could not walk away from her story, make sure you subscribe and stay for Chapter 2, because the truth will shake your heart. Daniel kept his disguise on as he stepped closer to Maya, who was wiping her tears so fast that her palm looked raw, and he said gently that no job should break a person like this. But Maya only whispered that some people do not get choices, they only get responsibilities. Her voice cracked when she said the word responsibilities, and Daniel noticed the bruise on her wrist, the one she had been hiding under her sleeve, and his stomach tightened because the night staff had clearly been ignoring more than her talent. As Maya tried to continue cutting meat, her hand slipped, and the knife nearly sliced her finger, but Daniel caught her wrist quickly and told her to stop working for a moment, yet instead of relief she looked terrified, as if resting was forbidden for her. Before Daniel could speak, two staff members entered again, joking loudly that Maya probably needed double shifts to pay her overdue bills, and one of them mocked that girls like her end up in kitchens because college is too expensive for their kind. Their kind. Those words hit Maya like stones, and she lowered her eyes in shame, even though she had no reason to be ashamed. But Daniel felt rage rising inside him, because he had built this restaurant to uplift talent, not destroy young dreams through cruelty and racism. When the staff left, Maya finally whispered the truth that she worked 3 jobs because she was raising her little brother alone after their mother died and their father disappeared, and she could not afford college no matter how hard she tried. Daniel felt something break inside him, because this girl did not just work for money, she worked for survival. He asked why she never told management, but she said quietly that they would fire her if they saw how tired she was, and she needed every shift she could get, even if it meant working until her hands went numb. Daniel's heart twisted when she added that she cut meat at 3 a.m. because this was the only time she could practice cooking in peace without anyone mocking her for dreaming too big. Then her phone buzzed again, and this time her little brother texted asking if she was safe, because he heard loud noises outside their apartment, and Maya's eyes filled with fresh fear as she whispered that their neighborhood was dangerous, but rent was all she could afford. Daniel knew he could not stay silent anymore, but he still needed to learn how deep the abuse inside his own kitchen ran, so he told Maya he would help her finish cutting and asked her to trust him, but she hesitated like trust was something she had learned to fear. The night grew colder and heavier as Daniel silently vowed to uncover everything, but he had no idea that within the next few hours he would hear something from the staff that would change the future of the entire restaurant. If you want to know what Daniel discovers next and how Maya's truth becomes impossible to ignore, make sure you subscribe and stay for Chapter 3, because the real shock is still coming. Daniel stood frozen in the dim kitchen as Maya rubbed her tired eyes, unaware that her entire life was about to be exposed in front of the one man powerful enough to change everything. Daniel pretended to organize trays while the night staff gathered at the back door laughing loudly, and one of them said that Maya should hurry because if she fainted again like last week, they would not bother calling an ambulance for someone who did not matter to the restaurant. That sentence stabbed Daniel like a knife, because fainted again meant she had collapsed before and nobody told management, and he felt anger twist inside him like fire. When the staff stepped outside for a smoke break, Daniel quietly followed them, leaving Maya inside to rest for a moment. And that was when he heard the truth they thought no one would ever repeat. One staff member bragged that they always dumped the heaviest cleaning jobs on Maya because black workers do not complain, and the others laughed and said the manager believed Maya was replaceable, so they let her do everything from unloading boxes to washing the giant meat racks alone at night. Daniel felt his fists tighten so hard that his nails dug into his palms, because this was not just mistreatment, this was targeted racism and cruelty hidden behind night shifts and silence. Then another staff member lowered his voice and whispered that they also lied to her by telling her she was not allowed to apply for promotion because the restaurant only sent employees with degrees to training, even though that rule never existed. Daniel almost stepped out of the shadows right then, but he needed to hear every truth, and the next one broke him completely. One staff member said Maya's brother sometimes came to the restaurant door asking if his sister was okay, and instead of helping they shooed him away, saying they did not want poor kids standing outside, making the place look cheap. Daniel felt his heartbeat crash in his chest because he remembered seeing a scared little boy on the cameras weeks ago, and he had assumed it was a delivery mistake, and now he realized he had failed to protect both siblings without even knowing. Suddenly, a loud clatter echoed from inside the kitchen, and Daniel rushed back, finding Maya leaning against the counter, clutching her stomach in pain because she had worked too long without rest, and her hands were shaking violently. He helped her sit and offered her water, but she apologized again and again like she was the one doing something wrong, and Daniel hated how trained she was to feel small. When he asked her why she never reported anyone, Maya looked down and whispered that no one listens to girls who come from broken homes, and she felt grateful just to have a job, even if it broke her body every night. Daniel knelt beside her and said no job should destroy her spirit, and she looked at him confused because she did not know he was the owner who built this place with a belief that talent grows when protected, not punished. He promised her in that moment that things would change, and though she did not understand how his voice made her heart steady like someone finally believed in her. As she rested her head on her arms, Daniel walked to the kitchen window and stared at the night staff, who still laughed outside, unaware that their careers were minutes away from collapsing. But before Daniel could act, Maya's phone buzzed again, and this time her brother texted that someone was trying to break into their apartment, and he was hiding under the bed shaking. Maya screamed and jumped up in panic, and Daniel grabbed his coat, saying they were leaving right now because her family's safety mattered more than anything in the kitchen. As they ran through the cold early morning streets, Daniel called security and backup, but he also made a silent vow that once Maya's brother was safe, he would return to the restaurant not as a disguised worker, but as Chef Daniel Ross, and the entire night staff would face consequences they never imagined. If you want to see how Daniel and Maya reach the apartment and what they find inside, make sure you subscribe and stay for Chapter 4, because the final truth will change everything. Daniel and Maya rushed through the cold early morning streets, with Daniel calling security and backup, but also making a silent vow that once Maya's brother was safe, he would return to the restaurant not as a disguised worker, but as Chef Daniel Ross, and the entire night staff would face consequences they never imagined. And as they reached the old apartment building, Daniel noticed how the stairwell smelled of dust and struggle, and Maya's shaking hands could barely fit the key into the lock before they pushed the door open and ran inside, calling her brother's name, and they found him curled under the bed trembling with fear, because someone had been banging on the door earlier. And when Maya hugged him, Daniel felt something inside him break, because this girl was carrying more weight than any 19-year-old ever should, and he told her to take her brother downstairs while he checked the apartment for danger. But there was no intruder, only broken locks, cheap windows, and loneliness, and when Daniel stepped outside, he found Maya holding her brother tightly while apologizing for not being home, and he gently told her that nothing was her fault, and that she had been surviving a system built to fail people like her. And she looked at him confused again, because she did not know yet who he truly was, but she trusted him enough to follow his instructions when he called a company car to take them to a safe hotel where she and her brother could rest and eat a real meal. And when they arrived, Maya stared at the lobby as if she did not belong in a place so clean and bright, but Daniel told her she deserved better than dark kitchens and broken apartments, and the way she smiled weakly made his chest tighten again, because she had forgotten how it felt to be treated with dignity. And once they settled her brother in the room, Daniel finally removed his disguise, and Maya gasped when he revealed he was chef Daniel Ross himself, the owner of the restaurant where she had been mistreated, and she stepped back like she had done something wrong, but he raised his hand, gently telling her that she had done everything right, and it was the restaurant that failed her, and she burst into tears, because the weight of years finally slipped off her shoulders, and Daniel promised her she would never work another night shift again unless she chose to, and that he would personally train her because she had the skill, discipline, and heart of a real chef. And she could not believe that the man she admired from TV was the same man who held her up tonight when she almost collapsed. And before she could respond, Daniel received a call from his restaurant security, saying the night shift staff was still outside laughing, unaware of what was coming. And Daniel asked Maya if she wanted to come with him to hear the truth exposed, and she nodded, because she deserved to see justice happen with her own eyes. And when they arrived at the restaurant, Daniel walked in first, no disguise, no hesitation, and the night staff froze as they realized the quiet dishwasher they mocked was their boss, and he demanded answers for every insult, every lie, every cruel shift. And some tried to apologize and blame each other, but Daniel shut them down, because what they did to Maya was not a mistake, it was a mindset. And he fired every single one of them on the spot, telling them to leave his kitchen forever, and Maya stood behind him stunned, because she had never seen anyone fight for her like this, and the remaining staff who had been kind to her came forward promising they would support her, and Daniel announced that Maya was beginning her official training program immediately with full pay and flexible hours, so she could take care of her brother, and the whole kitchen applauded, because they respected Daniel's judgment, and they saw the strength they had once ignored in Maya. And days later, Daniel helped her enroll in culinary classes while ensuring her home was repaired and safe. And as weeks passed, Maya transformed into a confident young chef who no longer whispered when she spoke, and Daniel often watched her from a distance, proud of how she grew into her own power. And one night Maya approached him with tears in her eyes, not of pain, but of gratitude. And she told him that for the first time in her life, she believed her future was bigger than her struggle. And Daniel told her that talent does not need permission to shine, it only needs protection and opportunity. And as the story closed, Maya Brooks finally stepped into a kitchen, not as a tired, unnoticed girl cutting meat at 3 a.m., but as a rising chef with a future brighter than she ever imagined, and Daniel knew her journey had just begun. If you learn something from Maya's story, then remember that kindness can change a life and silence can destroy one, so speak up, support someone. And if you want more powerful stories, make sure you comment your thoughts and subscribe for the next chapter of courage.